All right, welcome into the basement. Today we're going to talk about the Bitcoin megaphone pattern is forming, our Ethereum price predictions for 2023, 2024, 2025, more banks going under, all this and more on today's Blockchain Basement. Bum, 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 bum. You ready for this? I'm ready. Welcome.
If you're going to screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What do you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
Out to give the numbers out. And I was like, no, hang up the phone right now.
Or like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting?
400,000 to 600,000. The generational signals are now.
Level. So I don't even know if we're going to get back below there. But if we do, that's kind of where we...
Welcome into Blockchain Basement. Today's going to be a really good time. I saw you guys in the chat saying my lunch is your new market indicator.
What does it mean if there's no lunch?
Yeah, so if I'm not eating lunch today, if I haven't had a chance to eat lunch, that's probably not a good sign.
Good.
Oh, you do want to push this one in a little bit tighter, Bobby. See how it's catching Frank's head. So anyway, shout out to all of you guys. Welcome in Miami, Alpha Casino, Doggy, Corey Harden, Joe Stonkman, Isaac 95. Other names I can't read from here. Manuel Casalo, Digital Asset Degen, Andre Anyone, Crypto Stevo, Cyber Posty, Digital Asset Degen again, aka Dad. Love all of you guys. Shout out if you love it when we have Frankie Candles on the show. One of the greats here in the basement. Make sure to go ahead and smash that like button early so we can get this out there. The basement family is growing. I did mention it on the BitBoy live stream again today. You want to get in, you want to get subscribed before 10K. Because we're gonna have something special for everybody that was pre 10K, or all the early subscribers are gonna get something special, and then a couple people might get something really special. So wait and see what we have going on for that. We do have. Let's see if I can find this story. The Bitcoin megaphone pattern forming. Somebody saying. I read this headline. I don't even know what the story says yet. Bitcoin to 100K next. Textbook analyst looks at a price move. So we're gonna see. I mean, they can't be talking about this year, hopefully, but we're gonna get into that. I want to get into some predictions. Let me look and see if I can find.
100 gets a little early for 100K.
It's definitely early for 100K. I mean, maybe, but end of 2024 potentially. But yeah, we're gonna be getting some fun stuff, but it's gonna be probably a little bit more boring, a little bit more fear, uncertainty, and doubt being spread among the markets for the rest of this cycle until you guys are all terrified of losing. That it's all going to zero. That's when the real fun starts. So it's going to be after 2023. So I'm going to read this story just a little bit because looking at a rare megaphone pattern, says this veteran trader Peter Bant. We're gonna look at this, and then we're gonna pass it over to Frank. He's gonna learn us some technical analysis today. Gonna learn us some TA.
Let me learn you.
And see what they're talking about. It's also known as a broadening wedge, which you've probably heard us talk about before. But veteran analyst and crypto trading legend Peter Brandt says that Bitcoin is currently printing a structure that is seldom seen in any market. Brandt, who gained a legendary reputation in the crypto space after nailing the collapse of Bitcoin in 2017. Says BTC is currently exhibiting inside a rare reversal pattern. This is called the MEGAPHONE or inverted symmetric triangle, which is kind of this here. Again, I've heard of it called a broadening wedge before. Maybe this is slightly different. Let's read a bit about it. MEGAPHONE pattern, which is also known as there it is. A broadening formation is a bullish technical structure typically seen after a sharp downward move. The asset traditionally breaks out after the third attempt to breach the diagonal resistance. Bitcoin has pulled back since and is trading at the 24,796 at time of writing. Let's see where we're at right now. We're
a little hotter than that.
A little lower, 24.3. Now, oh great. Now I don't know where my spot is. Yeah, here it is. I did move it. I'm glad I did that. Brandt says that the correction suggests the megaphone structure is in play. Not surprised, 26,000 rejected advance. I'm not really surprised. We talked about that here yesterday on the show. It was fun. I was actually watching Frankie Candle's stream last night. You got to watch that dump live, right? Did it pretty much didn't it go down pretty low during your stream, like from the higher 25s all the way down to like 23 and change yesterday?
Yeah, it's funny. Usually for my live streams, it's usually like price will just go straight flat, and then the second I sign off, price moves. Price decides to get like a huge move. But yeah, we've been getting lucky, getting some price action on the actual stream. But yeah, it's yeah. So yeah, we did.
So did you have any open trades yesterday?
Yes, yesterday I was in a long. I'm actually still in that trade. It's at about break even. I think it might be a little bit in the red right now.
Okay.
So yeah, that was actually looking pretty good yesterday. I was kind of hoping it was going to play out a little bit more. I am going to continue to hold it. I have my stop loss set, but I do want to see some of the higher time frames are indicating a potential bigger move to the upside. So just looking to hold that. I'm either getting stopped out or I'm riding that long up to 28 to 30K. So we'll see if we could break it.
Yeah, I feel like we're back under that 25K resistance level now. It's going to be interesting to see how much easier it is to clear the second time than the time before. I have a feeling, I don't know. I don't know why, even though a lot of the predictions are changing for even today, I think now there's like a 75% chance for no rate hike next week on the 22nd. I still feel like they might raise it 25 basis points. And I think until we get past that point and see what happens, it's going to kind of hold us back a little bit because everybody's waiting and watching. Still, the Fed kind of dictating a lot of the markets. I feel like basically it's not going to make or break anything at this point. I know people are screaming that and feeling like it will, but the majority of the damage has been done from the raises already. Like we're already at an extremely high rate. Another 0.25 or another 25 basis points isn't going to change anything, but it will allow them to be consistent with what they said. They're taking it seriously one more time. We do see the inflation numbers, the CPI numbers coming in a little bit better. I do that because they're all fake. They are coming in looking decent. So I think one more raise and then holding after that, I think kind of splits the gap between what what everybody's asking for and what is actually somewhat physically responsible. The thumbnail for yesterday's show is TJ digging in his nose. I
was going to tell you that earlier.
Yeah.
What?
Hey, it happens,
I didn't want
guys.
to throw you off before we went live.
No, I mean, I don't know how that happened.
Hey, at least you got a first time chat out of it.
Yeah, hey, exactly.
Hey, let's
First
go.
time chatter.
Yeah.
Welcome to the basement. Hey, in the basement, anything goes in the basements. If the worst thing you see is us picking our nose,
It's pretty indicative of what goes on here. So
consider yourself lucky. And they said, yeah. So, all right, we'll come back to this real quick. Following BTC's latest retracement, fellow crypto analyst Michael Vandepop says BTC may find support at the 23.3 levels. I know, Frank, you were looking at some of those levels this morning. We're going to look at it a little bit more here just in a second. Would have preferred we continued the push to 27 to 28. I think everybody would have. Not interested
me.
in... What's that?
Absolutely not.
No, you're ready for it to come back down?
Yeah, man. I want to buy a lot more crypto. I want more pain. I want to go back down to 18 or 19 to stack it up. I mean,
Yeah, it's getting tougher and tougher, I think, to get below 20K. I mean, we saw how quick we recovered from there, even with a lot of... I was picking a winner. That's right. That's
Picking a
what
winner,
I'm
mining for Bitcoin.
Looking for a low cap gem.
Exactly. Somebody said not interested in buying the retest to 25,000, looking for deeper 23.3 for bonus long-term payouts. So I guess, let's see. This is the core pattern they're looking at here. Let's see. I can't see. I have the time frame on here. No, I don't see it. So this
Very
must be
arbitrary.
this is the initial move up here. Obviously, this is where we moved all the way up to above 25.
I think those are the weeks, though. I think.
Those aren't weekly.
You don't think?
No, that's
Probably daily.
Yeah, I
Yeah?
would say
Okay.
probably the daily.
But let's
Or
let
maybe
me
lower.
let me
I don't
pass
know.
it over here. Let's Frank tell us some of the levels he's watching right now, and we can go from there. And then,
Let's
just if you have any perspective on what a broadening wedge is, why is it bullish? Kind of give some people some thoughts on that.
Yeah, for sure. So we do have things are really interesting right now because we keep getting so close to breaking into that low volume gap. To get that big move that everybody's looking for, to get that big move up to that 28 to 30K level. Let me just go ahead and pull the volume up here really quick. But yeah, this I do have to say, shout out to Drew. You said you were feeling like you were saying you want to come down, or you feel like we're going to
Well,
come
I
down.
want it to come down. I don't ever feel like I get what I want. So, I mean.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I think I said this before on this show is, I always preach, don't trade with your emotions. The market doesn't care how you feel. You want to go off of facts, numbers, and actual information that you're given that is not an opinion. But I will say, there's anybody who just goes, hey, I feel like we're coming down. When Drew says he feels like the market is going to do a certain thing, it always winds up doing it. Like he'll come in and be like, I just feel like we're going to dump. And I'm like, I think you might be right, bro.
I mean,
and then it dumps.
I operate off of that kind of gut feeling and just like a violent DCA action, not really like day-to-day trading so much, but like I know, or like I watch these things, and then when I feel like the pain is enough or we're in a deep enough hole, then I will throw everything I can at it. In a DCA fashion, I guess, but it's not. It's emptying my bank account of fiat straight into it. So
Hey, not a bad thing.
Yeah, Drew's got a good gut health for Drew.
Yeah. Tons of probiotics. But yeah, guys, obviously we came up and tapped this level here. Hard rejection, but now we actually peaked through these highs, and this is extremely bullish in my opinion. Now, obviously we are getting a bit of a pullback here, but I do think, right, there are some things on the higher time frames that are indicating that we could wind up getting a second push up here. And again, just zooming back out real quick, we wouldn't have to push up much harder or much past this high to get that absolute, instant move up to that 28 to 30K level. The next actual level I'm looking at is 28.8K, where we have a 786 fib level, which is going to be that next level of major resistance. We do get another move up. But the one thing that is making me think that we could get a continued move up here. Now, I will say, if I had to pick, I'm basically in the same boat as Drew. I really want this to dump back down. But, again, like Drew said, a lot of times I feel like I don't get what I want. So, obviously I don't make any decisions based off of me feeling like I want it to come down.
Yeah.
But I really do want it to come back down. Who doesn't want cheaper Bitcoin?
Right.
But you guys could see here on the weekly, we have money flow starting to curve up. This is a pretty good sign. Now, we're not that close to the zero line, but money flow is trending in the right direction, not only on the weekly, but on a lot of the higher daily time frames. And then another main thing that I'm looking at, or another big thing I'm looking at, is right here where you have that red dot and then the immediate green dot.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Very rude.
It's completely rude. The Bulls have absolutely no manners. Just let the Bears play out here a little bit.
Yeah.
But we did get the reason I think this would be bullish is because we did get that move down just a little bit. And to me, this indicates that the Bulls see that price action. They just ate it all back up and forced that green dot to print again. And on the weekly time frame, a lot of time, like obviously it takes a week to print a new candle. So,
Hey, real quick, we got
Yeah.
Mission Gains rating with a party of 40. Welcome in to all the
that's
new
pretty
parties.
awesome.
We're having a party down here in the basement, so love it. Anytime you guys want to join us, welcome in. We're just here looking at some TA, looking at the weekly chart on Bitcoin. So just wanted to say welcome in to all the new raiders.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's go.
Big time. There's 40 people.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Pretty awesome.
That's awesome. I love the raids are fun.
Yeah, they are fun.
But yeah, the fact that we have printed this green dot immediately after the red one. Now, this isn't confirmed, but once this confirms, that would be a really bullish sign in my opinion. And that could be where we see that second leg up. And again, we don't really need to push up much higher to break into this low volume gap and get that big move up to 30K.
Yeah, pull the right side of the screen in just a touch.
Yeah, I want to see
on
the volume
window.
profile.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is.
Boom, right there. Yeah, so that gap we're looking at is right here. And as you can see, we already wicked out into it, but then got shunned back down. But, if we if we don't get shunned that second time, we could easily... it's where, you wake up and you look at your phone and you're like, oh my God, Bitcoin's at 28K. What happened?
Yeah.
Usually those teleportation moves happen through these gaps. So just be aware of that. And then just to really quickly cover that megaphone structure, I think this is kind of the range that they were looking at. I'll kind of just roughly draw this out. Or actually, I think this trend line is actually drawn from this low. So you have lower lows with also getting at the same time higher highs. So kind of like, whoops.
It's like volatility coming back into the market.
Yeah. So, this is typically megaphone or broadening wedge. This is a bullish pattern sometimes. So I am not the biggest pattern trader. I know a lot of people trade exclusively patterns. I do look at patterns. I take them into account. I don't trade based solely off of patterns. But typically, I do believe it's like after the third swing is usually when you get the bullish breakout. But yeah, this is definitely what they're talking about. And it looks like that chart we were looking at probably was indeed the daily.
Yeah.
But
So now when you say third swing, like one swing, that's one swing, that's
One,
the second swing, that's
two.
the third swing?
So, yeah,
or each swing up is a swing.
yeah, so if we come down to retouch this trend line again, that might be where you get the breakout if we're not going to get it up here. And that would bring us all the way back down to see, this is crazy. This is why
20K?
To about 19.2,
Okay.
which is an extremely interesting level because that's actually the level that I was watching when we got this pullback right here. We were looking at this high volume node right down here at 19.2, and what happened when price came down there? It actually front ran that level and did not tap that 19.2, did not tap that high volume node. You can see, I will go ahead and just put a horizontal line there real quick so we can see it. So that's at 19.2 level. We did front run it a tiny bit. So if we did run to the bottom of that megaphone, it would bring us to actually tap that 19.2 level if we got down there quick enough. And then that might be where you get that big mega bounce to the upside, no pun intended. But yeah, so that is... that's probably what everyone's looking at. I don't typically look at patterns that often, so I have not really been looking at this on my channel, but it is definitely there for sure. The key level, I was talking about this on the morning stream, really the key level that was making me feel like we were either going to get a move up or down is the break of this. Let me actually just pull up the macro. Basically, that level is the value area high from our more macro range. And again, I did look at this on the morning stream.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's basically from here to here. I just want to get that level for everybody. This is on a different exchange. But really, we've already broken down below that key level. So really, until we get on top of this value area high at about 24,950, we really got to flip 25K decisively, right? To get that next big move to the upside, push up a little higher into that low volume gap. But we are starting to lose those levels right now. So again, there are some things locally. I won't go into it because I know we're limited on time. But we have money flow coming out on a lot of time frames. I do think we may be able to continue a little bit further down here. But yeah, I want it to go down. That's for dang sure. So, but yeah, there you go. There's the megaphone.
Awesome.
Jeez.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. I don't typically look at a lot of patterns, like trade based on patterns, but I just thought it was interesting to keep an eye on, especially when you can see patterns that line up with different things that confluence, whether it's volume profiles, like we just noticed, like, oh hey, it points right at this 19.2 level, or value area highs, or some of that kind of stuff. It's just fun to keep an eye on as things go on. So
Jakeology asked Frankie, what do you think about the hidden bearish divergence on the weekly using Market Cipher weekly?
Yeah, so it's actually, there's even more interesting stuff. I have a lot of people asking about that. I had a lot of people asking about that in my live stream. It's definitely something you want to keep an eye on, right? Because we also did get a death cross on the weekly as well. But I know we got the golden cross on the daily. Did I just say daily? We have the death cross on the weekly, golden cross on the daily. And I just kind of, I've been telling people, like, I was talking to people in the office about this. We're kind of in a weird place in the market right now, right? Because we just endured like a pretty brutal bear market, right? And whether the bottom is in or not, I do think there's a greater chance that it's in. I'm actually uploading a video today diving deeper into is the bottom in and just looking at the facts. But, we're in a weird part where like we just endured this horrible bear market. The bottom could likely be in. The macro was really, really sketchy. So we're kind of we could be transitioning from that bear market into accumulation / bull run territory. And that is just typically, especially for traders, going to be a little bit of a choppy area just in general, right? So that's where you see a lot of these mixed signals, golden cross on the daily, death cross on the weekly. It's kind of where you see all these weird mixed signals happen. And a lot of people get wrecked at this part of the market. So, or at this point in the market. So just be careful out there. But yeah, we also have the death cross on the weekly. So it's hard to say. I do think the bottom is more likely in than not. But you don't want to be completely blind to the fact that we could still get a massive dump without making lower lows. So just remember that.
Yeah, a lot of things are possible. I did see some people saying this is unconfirmed. I haven't talked to him about this yet. I know you might have a better pulse on this because you talked to him a decent amount, but Gareth Soloway had been leaning very, very bearish. Somebody said just recently he might have start flipping back towards bullish. Again, unconfirmed, but I would be interested. I love watching his TA. He does great TA. Highly recommend his channel. Obviously, if you guys want more TA, definitely go check out. I know a lot of you guys already watch Frankie Candles, but Frankie Candles on YouTube, make sure to check his channel out as well. But Gareth Soloway, another one that I enjoy. It'd be really interesting to see a lot of when these people that have been very, very bearish start to flip bullish. That's always something interesting to keep an eye on as well. This is a good question from Mighty Mag. Is that what you were going to read?
Yeah, go ahead. Say 80% of my portfolio is Bitcoin, around 10% ETH. I unfortunately put some good money into Solana, and well, you know what happened. Should I drop Solana and reinvest into ADA? I have some ADA now.
Yeah, this is an interesting question. And I kind of want to pull, everybody might have a little bit of a different take on this. We've probably all been in this position at some time or another. Most of your money's in solid projects. You put something, you don't maybe have the same conviction in that project anymore, but you're down pretty bad on it. Do you take the loss and cut your losses and move on into another project, or do you leave it? What do you think on that one, Frank? And then I'll probably go last.
I'm sorry, I was lost in chat. Can you just repeat the last part of that?
Drew, what do you think? And then we'll come to Frank last.
Well, man, I just would in that situation, I basically just have found what I believe is going to be the next narrative, and then I try to get ahead of that next narrative. So I know we are on AI narrative right now, and then the layer 2 narrative is playing out right now, but now I'm looking at layer 0. or data driven type projects, so I'm trying to get ahead of those before, the actual need or, the big media hit comes on those, because, I like to invest in front of those time frames so that I can get it at a much cheaper price and not be chasing something that's already like halfway up the graph, basically.
I would say with that one's a tough one. That one's not as cut and dry as a lot of other ones, because Solana, obviously big market cap project, had a lot of following. I think it does have a potential, and it depends on how much you had. You said pretty good money. I don't know what that means to you, but it depends on how much you have into it and how bad. Like if you put $1,000 and you're down to $100, like if you bought the top and it's down to something that's really not gonna, putting $100 into another project isn't necessarily gonna, make or break you. Sometimes with a project like Solana, I'd say just forget about it. And, in 24, 25, if it pumps a little bit, and it turns back into maybe 50, 60% of what you initially got in, if you can pull that out, that might be a decent strategy. If you put, maybe $20,000 into it and you're down to $2,000, well, $2,000, you can maybe make something happen with some other altcoins. So that in that scenario, I might actually decide to take that $2,000 out, redeploy it somewhere else. So it kind of depends on how much you have left in there. Solana is one that I would not be holding with a lot of conviction long term. That being said, with how much it's down, I do think it will recover some. Not where I'd be looking to put new money, but I do think there will be a point in time you'll be able to get more out of it than what's in it today. So I don't know if that really helps answer your question or not. I mean, Frank, have you ever been in it now that you kind of know what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm shot. I did hear the question, but I thought it moved. But I'm actually, this is a great question for me to answer because I'm in the same position, man. I DCA'd infamously into Solana like a few weeks before it dumped. So I was down like 80% when it was actually at where it bottomed out. Now I'm down about, I don't know the exact number, but I'm still absolutely murdered on it. I will say this. Somebody just said Frank's deep in the soul. But yeah, it's I'm not selling mine, right? Like I will say this. It's not like I dumped like a giant part of my money in there. I was DCAing in, but there was a decent bit of money there. I'm down heavy on it. I'm holding it. I think, like TJ just said, I think it will recover some. So I'm just going to hold off. But again, like TJ said, I am not dumping new money into it. So I'm kind of just like licking my wounds, hoping to get back what I can. So if that helps you out at all, hopefully, I'm not selling mine to reinvest it. I'm just hoping to get some of my money back.
Captain Corey said, who's the main guy or team behind Solana and what are they up to now? Is that SBF or he's just got some connections?
I mean, Solana, I mean, a lot of people would say was a VC coin. It was very closely tied. I mean, it wasn't necessarily Sam just himself, but it was very closely tied to Alameda, Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, that whole crowd that pumped a lot of different coins. Obviously, it's extremely tainted now. And again, like it had a lot of issues even when it was pumping like crazy. We all kind of made fun of it as a blockchain that would pause and stop. But we knew there was so much VC money in it. It's like, well, it's going to keep pumping. And, I wrote it from, $2 to $3, maybe $5, all the way up to a couple hundred, so it was like, hey, this is great. Like, I don't care if it pauses, it's printing money. But still never something I wanted to hold long term. So, taking profits into Bitcoin and Ethereum, again, it's very hard to convince me there's another smart contract platform that has as much potential as Ethereum simply because of the ecosystem that's built out right now. Not saying there's not better technologies, but it takes the entire ecosystem of products and dApps and wallets and games and all sorts of different things. And other smart contract platforms are getting there. But I think things that are solving for interoperability are very important. I think decentralized exchanges, you guys know, ZK rollups, layer 2s for Ethereum, I think will do well. And Ethereum, I think, has a really high potential as to also be one of the, as far as the top 20 coins in market cap, be one of the best performers already. And it's one of the, risk reward profile on Ethereum compared to almost everything else, to me, seems like a no-brainer on Bitcoin and ETH with where the prices are now compared to where we think they're going to go, which we are going to talk about Ethereum price predictions for the end of 2023, 2024, and 2025. There's an article on it, and I spun through it real quick, hoping maybe it'll be like something like what I'm thinking it was, and I have no idea where they got their numbers. So I'd be curious to see. It made me think like, I wonder where Frank thinks it's going to go, or Drew. But I know I will probably be the most bullish because I have a pretty high expectation for both Bitcoin and Ethereum as time goes on here. But I'll be interested to hear you guys' thoughts too. So, all right, real quick, we're going to do some updates. We got more banks on the brink of failure. This was just an interesting thing to put it in perspective for you guys. In 2008, 25 banks with $373 billion in combined assets failed. So that's what caused the great collapse in the 2008 financial crisis, as they call it. Here we are in 2023, 2 banks with $319 billion combined assets failed. So that just shows, when we talk about kicking the can down the road, making the problem bigger and bigger, that just shows the perspective of, okay, now 2 banks have almost, approximately the same amount of money that 25 banks had just a few years ago. So if this continues to go with anything middle or bigger banks, like the amount of capital that's on the line is so much more now. Now, obviously, that's partially due to inflation. They've printed bajillions of dollars since then, and that's what's caused us to get here. Yeah. But that was just, when I read that, I was like, wow, that really put it in perspective to me. 2 bank, and now there's a couple that they haven't quite gone under yet. That if First Republic Bank was to go under, then those 3 banks would have been bigger than all 25 that went under in 2008. So we're right on the verge of some really serious stuff happening. Again, I love, Genevieve Roche Decter, really good account.
She has good takes for sure.
Yeah, I really recommend you guys follow her profile. Like, we covered a lot on this channel. The Fed stepped in to stop a bank run, but it didn't just restart QE Infinity and set up the stage for larger problems down the road. I say yes, but let's take a look. Last week, we saw the start of the bank run. Silicon Valley Bank had a huge duration problem. Their bond portfolio was locked in at low yields, but they needed to sell those bonds at huge losses to meet the $42 billion in withdrawal requests in one day. The government stepped in to stop the crisis. Without any intervention, we would have likely have seen hundreds of bank runs and dozens of banks collapsing. That's how close we were if the government didn't come in and just say, okay, we're going to backstop all of this.
Yep.
But by doing that, will the government's response create an even bigger problem down the line? Almost always the answer to that question is yes, regardless of the issue you're talking about. Government intervention to save or to fix or to protect almost always makes things worse as time goes on.
If they ever say, hey, we're from the government and we're here to help you.
Yeah, slam the door in their face.
Just start walking the other way if you can. So
yeah. The Fed swap lines to prevent these problems from repeating with other banks, or the Fed opened swap lines to prevent these problems from repeating with other banks. Effectively, the Fed just stepped in to replace FDIC. So let that sink in for a minute. Like, the insurance that was there was not enough. It would have been a collapse, and the Fed just stepped in and said, okay, you know what? We will be the backstop to the backstop. And instead of insuring just $250,000 per account, we're going to insure every single deposit. A week ago, the FDIC insurance limit was $250,000 per account. We were talking about this yesterday. Now it's basically infinity. That's somewhere in the range of $19 trillion in total deposits to backstop, meaning $19 trillion in banks. Now that the federal government has effectively, at least for these 2, said, okay, we're going to backstop all of those. And if another bank was to potentially go under next week, they would be asking for the same treatment.
You know what's crazy? 2 months ago, I told everyone that we're going to have a national debt of 50 trillion in just a few short years, and everyone thought it was nuts. It was on like some podcast or Twitter space or anything like that. Just watching this unfold. I mean, the IMF's going to get drained. IMF's the true backstop of all this, and that payment is going to be passed on to us as our national debt that we owe to who knows. I mean, we don't. Who do you owe national debt to?
Exactly.
It's sad.
It's insane. I remember asking that at a very young age, like, wait a minute, if we all owe money to each other, why don't we all, like, if we're in debt and everybody is like, oh, well, it's okay, we're in debt because everybody else owes us more. And it's like, well, why don't we just call in what people owe us so we can pay our debt? It's pretty common sense, right? And it's like, oh, no, we could never call in all of our loans because then it would make them collect. So it's like, okay, so everybody's in debt to everybody, but nobody can actually collect on any of this debt. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty much the banking system. Yeah. And life goes on, right? How is the Fed backstopping these deposits? By helping to alleviate the duration problem. Tons of banks have the same problem as Silicon Valley Bank. They're sitting on huge unrealized losses from assets that have decreased in value as interest rates have increased. We showed that chart a couple weeks ago that shows the both unrealized and realized losses of banks that are just getting absolutely destroyed right now. If withdrawals accelerate, banks have to sell those positions and realize those losses. But if the withdrawals slow down, banks can wait out the duration of the bonds and never realize the losses because they can redeem the bonds for the par value at the end of the bond's duration, which is obviously what they want to do. They don't want to have to realize those losses in the short term. But the Fed has stepped in to fix that issue. Now banks can swap their troubled assets for par value thanks to the U.S. government. The banks can pledge their assets in return for loans equivalent to the original value of the asset. That's what Drew was just talking about. They're saying, okay, sure, we'll print, we'll hand you all this stuff. We'll put it again. We'll make another piece of paperwork loan thing that nobody can actually pay on to fix this in the short term. Let you take more, or let your bonds get to full maturity. Basically, keep you from having to take that loss. You know, and bang, duration, rate, risk, poof, gone. Beautiful. Now there's no literally no risk, because in a situation where in a free market where you would have to realize these losses, they're like, okay, we're gonna take that potential for you to have to realize a loss away from you. So now there's no risk. Yeah. Basically, the Fed is hoping this will increase confidence and withdrawals will stop. If that happens, then crisis averted. But if not, then the government is on the hook for way more potential losses than it otherwise would have been. I mean, here you go. Look at banks who have unrealized losses, just like Silicon Valley Bank. I mean, look at this list. Let me get
us out of the way. I want to see this real up close.
Yeah, let's see if I can. It's not even.
Get it to the.
Yeah, you can't quite see, but I mean, there you go. You go all the way down from Charles Schwab, 171%. So Schwab in a worse position than Silicon Valley Bank was in. Got Bank of Hawaii, Bank of America, First Republic Bank. That was another one that was on the verge of getting hit. Yeah. Wells Fargo up here, Morgan Stanley up here. Simmons Bank, Truist Bank, United Community Bank.
Oh, you should send this one to me, because DZ was asking for where the Truist one is.
Yeah, I'll shoot this one to you here. Pull this down. I'll shoot it to you right now while I'm thinking about it.
Do that.
So, you look at some of these lists and you're like, dang, I'm going to put it.
Hey, yo, TJ, are there any in the green?
Yeah, that's the best question.
I mean, not on this list. This is a list of unrealized losses. So, losses are not going to be anywhere green for these people. So, that's just setting up, some of what we've got going on now. Yeah. We've got this from Caleb Franzen, who was on Around the Blockchain yesterday. If you guys don't follow that one, another great channel to get news from all sorts of great people from around the blockchain. Good. Yeah, he's really good. Kind of macro tech, macro analyst, crypto analyst. He says, now that concerns are rising about global banks, Europe in particular, U.S. Treasury yields are plummeting and the U.S. dollar is rising. Why? Global investors are selling their currency in favor of the dollar in order to purchase treasuries. So DXY up, safe havens up, yields down. And you can see this here. I think this is the DXY. Yeah, just spiking on all this stuff. Yeah. So interesting. Generally speaking, when the DXY is going up, Bitcoin is not. That has not been the case over the past week. And it's basically people getting into cash and withdrawing these deposits and moving them into things that they know will have a better yield. But as a result, Credit Suisse.
Ooh, let me see.
Stock slumps trigger triggers close monitoring by regulators. Credit Suisse has been kind of on the ropes for quite some time. I know one of our research guys, shout out to the cat. One of our research guys has been screaming about Credit Suisse going under for about 2 years now. I think they've been, they've gotten into some hot water due to some scandals and a handful of different things, but also similar situation when it comes to the way their risk management is set up. And again, unrealized losses. So Credit Suisse shares slumped by as much as 30% on Wednesday after the largest stakeholder said it could not provide further support, prompting the Swiss bank CEO to make new assurances on its financial strength. That's never good. Nope. The dreaded vote of confidence, as Ben always talks about, that's when the coach comes out and says, oh, don't worry. Or when the owner comes out and says, oh, don't worry. We're fully supporting our coach. We're definitely not going to fire him. Like 2 days later, he's fired. Never a good sign when they're giving you that vote of confidence. So when we can't raise money from our largest shareholder, the CEO comes out and says, don't worry. We're strong. Yeah. We were asking them for money just because we thought it might be a decent time to ask, not because we're worried about covering deposits. Don't worry. Don't withdraw. Your money's safe with us.
Can I interject with? Oh, keep going.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, we got to get to the punchline here for my conspiracy theory.
Saudi National Bank, which holds 9.8% of Credit Suisse, said it would not buy more shares on regulatory grounds. So
there it is.
The Saudis are like, nah, too risky for us.
There it is. Yeah. And they bought those shares like a year ago, right before the conflict started, and right as they signed up for BRICS. So BRICS, it became BRICS Plus a year ago. when Saudi Arabia joined them officially, and they bought 10% shares in Credit Suisse, and now they get a rug pull them officially in front of God and country while all this conflict's going on. It's not looking good.
It is not looking good. Yeah, somebody riddled with puns says, "Steady lads." If you guys were in the Terra Luna, when Do Kwon's coming out there and saying, steady lads, deploying more capital here. When Sam Bankman-Fried says, "Oh, we are perfectly solvent. All the money's there. Don't worry, we can make creditors whole." How did that work out for those guys? Not great. Alex Mashinsky from Celsius, no fear. All my money's in there. Blah 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 blah. Never a good sign when they're pushing, being very confident late in the game when people are asking questions. The only thing they say is, "Don't worry."
Well, yeah, like the feds were asking if there's a way for us to, or as a country in the United States, to stop misinformation or worry about the banking sector on media, because they realize that everyone has a phone and they don't have to wait in line and get shoved around by a security guard to try to get their money out when their bank is rugging them.
They can just start withdrawing it from their phone.
Yeah, they can just do it instantaneously. So, the ability to gaslight America at a mass scale instantaneously came back to bite you, because the information counter to that comes out just as fast and people are able to act upon it. So enjoy the results.
There it is. So in a sign that regulatory authorities are tracking developments, European Central Bank, the ECB, Christine Lagarde, and FAM officials contacted lenders it supervises to ask about the financial exposure to Credit Suisse. A source familiar with the matter told Reuters. Again, not a good sign. Credit Suisse CEO Erlich Coroner. Yeah. He's like a guy that moves dead people
like
around.
My mom.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Your mom's a coroner?
She was for like 15, 20 years.
Dang, Drew's mom, man. You keep peeling back the layers to the onion.
I'm like an onion.
There's more there.
Yeah.
See, he moved to calm nerves, saying the bank's liquidity base remains strong, as well as above all regulatory requirements, which is meaning basically nothing. Coroner had said earlier in the week, Credit Suisse liquidity coverage ratio to average 150% in the first quarter of this year. I am not buying that. Show me the paperwork to prove it.
Yeah. Why are they so concerned? Why do they need more money from Saudi if they're so over?
Exactly. Well, and this is the same thing that sparked the run with Silicon Valley Bank. They were trying to raise capital to meet liquidity demands, and it kind of freaked people out. They're like, "Oh shoot, you have to get you need to go get billions of dollars from somebody new in order to actually process the withdrawals that people are trying to do right now. That's not good. Give me my money right now." And that's what caused the bank run to happen.
Yeah.
But this does bode well for Bitcoin as the printers are starting to come back on. This is what we've been talking about the whole time. Everybody says there's no way we can print more money. Inflation's going to run rampant. Yes, that is true. But there's also no way we can't print money and keep this banking system, this fraud, this Ponzi going without injecting more liquidity to the system. Whether it comes from the Fed, whether it comes from the Treasury, whether it comes from these central banks. That's basically what's happening now is central banks are having to step in and backstop these, commercial banks, federal banks. And here we are. So another thing, Ted talks macro on it again. I love that he stays on top of this stuff. China are adding liquidity again. So he showed this before, like when they turned their printer back on in February, we can see this is the Bitcoin price up here. Obviously, boom, they printed money and it printed a bunch of green candles for Bitcoin. Now you can say they're not linked. It's not intertwined, but
somebody definitely called the devs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some correlation right there, and it's not the same. You can see now, pull me down. Yeah, right here, they had backed off the printer for a little while, and then right here they just started printing again. And we know Bank of Japan is in some hot water as well. The banks in Japan are experiencing a similar thing. So as this starts to happen, as the banks in the UK in the EU start to come under pressure, they're going to, the European Central Bank is going to have to turn their printer back on, just like we're going to have to do here in the United States. It's all trade war. We can't have them devaluing their currency faster than we're devaluing our currency. Or what does that do with all the debt we have? If we're holding a lot of Eastern debt, whether it be China, Japan, anywhere else in the world, if we're holding debt from those nations and they're devaluing it, their currency supply is going up dramatically. Ooh. Whoa. Twitchy party in here. If these cameras go out, guys, we had a good run. Yeah. It's there's leaks and all kinds of stuff going down here in the basement. You never know what's going on with our technology. But
I have a question.
Well, real quick, if those banks are printing money, devaluing their currency, the EU and the United States almost have no hope in not respond. Like they have to print and devalue at the same level in order to stay competitive, or they're just going to lose that trade war. But go ahead.
Oh, Chemistry Bro wanted you to know UK is separate from EU. Remember now, TJ?
Yes. Well, that's why I said UK, and I said actually I should be saying European Central Bank. So that's why I switched to EU. I do know that, but I'm not great with geography or geometry.
The question was from Razmataz. Are we seeing the part of the cycle where alts start to really bleed against Bitcoin? Looks like it on the charts today.
Say that again.
Are we seeing the part of the cycle where alts start to really bleed against Bitcoin?
I think so. I mean, we covered it a little bit yesterday. Really what you're seeing is a lot of strength in Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's when the dominance starts to tick back up a little bit. I know the dominance is the higher than it's ever been since June. And like you hear me talk about this a lot. You'll see Bitcoin make a big move up. 10, again, we saw 15% in a day just, yesterday or the day before, depending, 36 hours ago. You see those big, massive moves, alts will respond. And then when Bitcoin pulls back a little bit, alts lose all those gains so much faster than Bitcoin does. So like Bitcoin pumps 15%, pulls back 4%, alts pump 25%, pull back 25%, is what we see a lot. There's a handful of ones that won't, but that happens a handful of times while we're ranging, say between 20 and 28. If we range between there, every time we make those big moves up for Bitcoin, alts will move up. Bitcoin pulls back a little bit, alts pull back a little bit more. And then we keep doing that over and over. And you see, that's why people say alts bleeding against Bitcoin. Again, not all alts you can trade within certain narratives. There will be alts that you take massive profits on when they do that, which is always why it's good to take profits in the short term if you're swing trading things and having a plan of the way you're building your portfolio. Do you cover a lot of alts on your channel, Frank?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I would agree with that. That was like one of the best explanations for alts bleeding that I've ever heard. Right? Oh. You get the Bitcoin pump. Bitcoin pulls back, like TJ said, like 4%, and then the alts absolutely dump. So I would say, and we see the Bitcoin dominance coming up, and I think it does have more room to go. So I would agree. This is probably, I know a lot of people are, thinking that like now's the time to buy alts, or maybe a couple months ago was the time to buy alts, and that may be the case for the pump that we just got. But if this pump does not continue up to 30K and we don't hold 30K, decisively before moving up higher, buying alts last month might have just been good for this little pump up, and they will continue to bleed. So I would agree. I think we will most likely see alts bleed. From here on until at least a few more months of just alts completely bleeding. I would agree.
Big Hands Dan said it's an attention game now. Pay attention. Don't get emotional. DCA and be patient until late 24, early 25. Listen, learn, adjust accordingly. I agree with that 100%. Great advice.
Speaking of DCA, Brittany Dively said, where is the best place to buy crypto when it comes to weekly DCA, when it comes to fees?
When it comes to fees, I think actually Cash App has really low fees if you're doing the DC, the regular DCA into Bitcoin. If you want to buy Bitcoin on there, it's very simple. If you Swan Bitcoin, actually, I think technically they do have the lowest fees. And they encourage you to self-custody. It's also extremely easy to set up. So there you go. There's two options. If you don't care as much about fees, I know a lot of people that I know use Gemini. It's very easy. You can, set up recurring. Like if you want to do like, hey, every time I get paid, pull $25 out or $100 out and put it into Bitcoin. It's very easy to do there. But fees.
Razmataz said Binance Worldwide has 0 fees.
Yeah, a lot of it, like Swan has about as low as you can get, as far as I know.
And worldwide for Binance, you can't do it in the US. You have to
without a VPN.
Yeah,
which then you're paying fees on the VPN.
Yeah.
But, all right, let's talk about some fun stuff. We do think, like I said, I want to be very clear. I do think you've got plenty of time this year to DCA, like Big Hands Dan was saying. 24 and 25 is when most of the fun is going to be. This year is just stay patient, stick to your plan, accumulate DCA. But we're going to look at some fun stuff. We're going to do some Ethereum price predictions. But first, we've got this article here. Again, Bitcoin to 100K next. Now, I don't know where this is going to go. I haven't read this yet, so we're all on this journey together. I do not see us getting to 100K in 2023 with Bitcoin. I do by the end of 2024. I think we're getting to all-time highs by the end of 2024. But let's look what this guy says. Analyst eyes textbook perfect Bitcoin price move. And you say sometimes you gotta think about the fun stuff, right? We're all gonna be rich one day. Let's at least talk about it, think about it, dream about it. Bitcoin setting up for a classic trading move, which could see it hit 100,000. One analyst said in a tweet March 14th. Charles Edwards, founder and CEO of investment firm, what's it say? Caprioli, not Caprioli.
No.
Called Bitcoin price action in 2023 a bump and run reversal. Having passed 26, hit an all-time high this week, despite cooling under 25,000 at the time of this writing. Longer time frames are already getting analysts excited after the brutal 2022 bear market. I would agree. Longer time frames are getting me excited too, but not this excited.
Yeah.
Bitcoin in 2023 has been straight out of the market's textbook. The largest cryptocurrency is attempting to fulfill a bump and run reversal pattern, he believes. The bump and run reversal bottom is a bullish reversal pattern that begins with a series of descending peaks. Excessive speculation drives prices down until reaching extreme lows. The price action then reverses the direction to the upside and marks the end of the downtrend. I agree. That is what we experienced. That's why I feel like we did see the bottom there. Accompanying charts describe the bump and run phenomenon, showing BTC USD in the latter stages of this trend break and cementing a key resistance / support flip. What happens next? The so-called uphill run gives the pair a 6-figure target. Now let's look.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, this is into 24, it looks like. But so here we go. Here's the bottom. I guess that was the bump, and it's basically bouncing off. Let me see if I can.
I mean, this isn't so illogical with how things are lining up now. If we just keep seeing banks collapse and these nation states argue,
I would just drag this. This is a pretty friggin' straight up arrow here.
Flatten that line down. A little bit.
It's going to take us a little longer, because this is saying, approximately February, March-ish of 2024, we're pushing 100K. Yeah. I think it's more, December 2024, early 2025, Q4, Q1 of the following year. But this is some great hopium. This is
So I agree with you, TJ, but it's interesting that he just drew that straight line, like there's so much, the time is very much not taken into account there.
Yeah.
Right. We could range sideways for a year and a half and then go up to, so it's he did not take time into account at all.
Well, this is where you see traditional market analysts that don't take the Bitcoin cycle into account, in my opinion.
Right.
But if you look at the last run, it's pretty steep increase. Is even steeper than the line he.
It took a while to get out of it, though. It was pretty flat during 2020.
We're not going to start this straight uphill, and
not right now.
In 2019, it was long and boring and sideways for a lot of 2019 before when we do start the run, it is very parabolic and it is very steep uphill. Up and to the right, but that's after the halving occurs, and then we do those tokenomics kick in. And somebody says, how much will the dollar be worth by then? That's 100% part of the calculation. A falling dollar and a pumping Bitcoin does work to keep us on this trajectory that we've been on. It's the supply of the dollar increasing, the supply of Bitcoin decreasing, and the demand decreasing or increasing. I'm sorry. So I do think we can see something somewhat like this, but again, I would not start it right here. And again, you would think he would have this at least at the same angle as that.
No.
But whatever. Like I said, this is for us to get excited about.
Yeah.
So
I hope that happens.
Yeah, we're all here for it if it does. Directly above the current spot price lies an area of heavy resistance that Bitcoin bulls have failed to overcome so far. Key moving averages on weekly timeframes likewise remain unchallenged, which again, we got the 200, best case scenario for BTC is to break the 200-day moving average on this current move. The trader Erect Capital argued about the current interplay between BTC USD and the 200-week moving average, which is when it fell under. Again, this once we're underneath this, it it's acting definitely as a big resistance for us. So getting up over that is going to be a challenge that we have to overcome.
Yeah.
We know looking at the volume profiles, we've got key levels of resistance at 28K. We've got another huge one around 40K. And it's not going to just go straight through those things. It's going to take some time to break up through those levels. So, don't show this. I'm just looking around. I'm checking my time, seeing how much time we have. All right.
Question from Mama Crypto. She said, should we also be investing some gold?
Well, Drew, I know Drew is.
So, yeah.
I love having gold.
I love gold.
Yeah, and gold, it upticked, I think, by 2% the day of the bank collapses as well. And Gold, like I don't mess with stable coins. I literally don't. I spend fiat on crypto until the all-time high, and then I get out, buy gold. I take the gold to the pawn shop or the coin dealer, and then I take the cash that they give me for it, and I go buy a vehicle or something. Like I don't use intermediary stable coins. I know that might be a little chaotic for some people, but that's just how I've operated, and I like being able to hold it. It feels good. There's something like an alien connection that humans have to gold. So
I totally agree.
Absolutely.
Call Me Topher said BCB, that's blockchain backer, said he would debate anyone on the 4-year cycle theory. TG, would you debate him over it?
Yeah, we actually have talked on the BitBoy Morning Show. We've had him on a handful of times and talked kind of finer points of we lean very heavily on the 4-year cycle. He's not as much, but we've it's proven true so far, and sometimes there's really not much debate until more time plays out. That's why a lot of people that were talking about us going much lower too. It's like, look, we're sticking to the 4-year cycle, the time theory, not as much the price TA metrics. I like what he does with a lot of the technical analysis he shows. He uses a lot of fractals, which again, pretty cool when you can make those things line up and look right, and you can definitely pull a lot out of it. He did nail the top when it came to the 69K. But again, that was also in line with the 4-year cycle, the time theory. I just think we got too focused on the 100K number. Yeah. So far, ever since that moment, the 4-year cycle has played out much more accurately than a lot of the things he's been predicting. But it's going to take more time, obviously, because I think he's another one that says, extremely low lows when it comes to the bear market. I think he's more on that, sub 10K Bitcoin within this year. And they're going to hold on to, I don't quote me on this. I don't know for sure exactly what he's saying recently. But yeah, I really like blockchain backer. I would, we've talked to him about it before. And he says he enjoys having that discussion. Yeah. He's not a 4-year cycle guy, but he will admit, so far it's been a lot more accurate. And again, that's the only thing I have to go off of. It's been the most accurate guide since the inception of Bitcoin. I'm a big believer in keeping it simple. Supply and demand drives free markets. When the supply gets cut in half and the demand is increasing, obviously that's going to be what sets off the next cycle. And you can almost set your watch to it. I mean, it's extremely accurate when you go back and do that math for yourself. So there you go. Yeah. Speaking of, we're going to look at this guy's ridiculous Ethereum price predictions, and then we're going to give you guys our own because we know obviously more than whoever.
Clearly.
Vermanbaru Allen is, who wrote this on March 15th. So Ethereum price predictions 23 through 25. So just guys, while I'm doing this, think about what your price prediction is going to be for the end of this year, where we think Ethereum could peak out next year, and then in 2025, where we think we're going to go. So just for perspective, we are sitting at 1624 right now. So I will spin through this very quickly. We don't care what Ethereum is. We already know.
Yeah, he gives the juice at the bottom of each section.
Yeah,
here.
so October 14th, 2022, we've got the Shanghai fork coming into play. Positive start for the year. So this is if this price continues to trend downwards, it may close the year trading at 1550, so lower than we are right now. But if prices are held to the limits of linear momentum, the market may find support around 1700. So his prediction for the end of 2023 is 1700, which is like, wow, you really don't see much good happening at all. Yeah. That is basically $80, $74 above where we're sitting right now. That ain't much. So. So 2024, relies on proof of stake. It's increasing visibility. Nevertheless, if bears manage to outpace the bulls, the price might fall as low as 2,400. But he thinks it will settle at 2,600. So even while I was reading this, I was like, all right, I guess I could see how you can make a case that, maybe it's, I think we'll be pushing all-time highs at this point. So that tells you where I think it's going to be. I think we'll be looking, I guess I'll get the groups too, but my prediction for the end of 2024 is about a $4,500 to $4,700 Ethereum, between 4,500, maybe a little bit above, maybe pushing 5,000 by the end of 2024. We're talking mid to late December. Yeah. That's well beyond the halving, so.
End of next year.
And then, yes, end of next year. And then this is the one that really got me. I was like, all right, well, maybe he's just, short term. He really isn't taking the power of the halving into account, whatever. But we all know, like 2025, that's when the real action happens. That's when we get alts going crazy. Yeah. That's when we get the blow off top, all that sort of stuff. Ethereum 2 should be in full play. He said maybe it could reach 4,700 by 2025. Yet it might drop to 3,800 if a collapse owing to any conceivable legislation. So he's still afraid of the government. When both bullish and bear price objections are taken into account, he's claiming $4,000 is reached. So not even a new all-time high for Ethereum by 2025. So after reading that article and realizing people are putting stuff like this out on the internet, I was like, look, we need to get, we need to tell the people, what the basement's thinking, where our expectations are, because this don't get anybody who bought in 2021 at $4,200 Ethereum is not excited to read this article saying we might be at 4,000 by 2025.
Yeah, One Day Rewards said FOMO too hard at 4.4K and got smacked. Can't wait for these DCAs to pay off.
Yeah, well, and I will tell you that it does. I bought Ethereum all the way from $200. I was, I was buying Ethereum at $200 in 2017. I was also buying it at $1,400, $1,100, $1,200 in January of 2018, saying like, oh man, I can't believe I got it at 1,100. This is going to go to 5,000. And I was right. It just took a lot longer than I thought. And so then it obviously went all the way down in 2018, all the way, through December 2018, it bottomed all through 2019. That's right when I was where you guys are right now, DCAing, saying like, I hope this is going to pay off. Anytime I saw it under $200, I was like, okay, this is the time for me to buy it. I bought it $100, $150. March 12th, I got some more, $89, but it was between $150 and $200 for a long time in 2019. It gave you plenty of time to accumulate. Might have a little run up in the summer, pull right back down into that range again, just like Bitcoin being between 7 and 10, pushed up to 14, go right back down to that range between 7 and 10 for a really long time. And then March 12th crashed all the way down to 3,800 again. And those DCAs paid off major for me, at the end of this next cycle. And so that's where we are again. If you bought Ethereum at, 4,000, 4,500, any of those prices, you do have a really good opportunity to DCA right now. So
what's your price prediction for the end of this year?
The end of this year, it's going to be pretty conservative.
Don't take my answer.
I want to know, Drew.
Yeah, go ahead. If you don't want, mine, am I supposed to give like an exact number or a range? It's not going to be
financial advice.
Look, the end of this year is not going to get you guys really excited. I'll tell you that much. It's not much different than where the price is right now. I think it could be $1,700 to $2,000. Not going to lie. End of this year.
You stole my answer.
Yeah, I stole my answer too.
$2,000.
Yeah.
And Frank, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, if Bitcoin gets a rip up to 30K, I think 2,000 is possible. I don't see it really going much higher than that. I mean, we're in accumulation, right? This is supposed to be the boring, sideways bearish-ish part of the market. So yeah, I would say between where we're at right now and 2K is probably where we range around in that area. But unless Bitcoin makes a break for that 40K macro golden pocket, I don't see us getting much past 2,000.
I think it will, and I do think we'll go past 2,000. I just think it will fall back down into the range by the end of this year. So that's my prediction.
So by the end of the year.
Yeah, so like if we're saying December, close for the year, I think we're closing around even,
almost where we are right now, I would say.
Exactly where we're at right now. Yeah, it could be a little bit higher. Like I said, could be pushing 2,000. We might pump all the way up to 25, 26, 2,800 this year if Bitcoin does that midsummer rally that we're predicting. I just think before the end of the year, we'll fall back down into the range we've been in right now, which is about between, previous cycle all-time high, 1,400 and 2,000. I think it's going to, that is the $150 to $200 range of 2019, in my opinion. Now, next year, I'll let you guys go first since I gave my prediction first. 2024, end of the year. So we're talking December 2024. We've got the halving. I always forget. It's in March-ish, April, early, like sometime late March. Yep. So we've got the halving in March. Where do you put the price December 2024, Drew?
Ooh. All right. I'm going to put the close up on
get it. He's putting the camera on himself.
So you're going to have a super soft-bellied Federal Reserve by then. You're going to have a completely backed off Fed funding rate. You're going to have politicians cooking the market to make sure that they got voted in, and the results of them softening the market will be felt. So basically you can soften the market to make everything look good and then get elected, and then the results of that soft market come back 6 months, a year later. So you're going to have higher inflation. You're going to have things kind of going crazy as far as valuations for stocks, homes again. So I feel like at the end of 2024, Ethereum has a potential in my mind to be touching that $4,000 mark. And that's, being kind of conservative from how heavy I see the Federal Reserve has to hit the brakes on their hikes on federal funding rates, because it's not even just tied to the U.S. economy, it's tied to the world economy and their NATO nations. And this thing that's going on right now is not planned to be ending anytime soon, and they have to catch up with China. So yeah, I definitely see like between 4,000 to 4,500 is where I'd be looking as far as my price target for Ethereum end of 2024.
There you go. All right. And before Frank gives his answers, let me see. We've got 569 people in the chat right now. We know the goal for likes is 420 every single stream for no specific reason, just an arbitrary number. So if you guys can, if you like it when we give price predictions, take a second, smash that like button. Give us your price prediction for Ethereum's price December 2024 in the comments. Maybe when we get there, if somebody helps me remember, we can go back and see who got the closest by the end of this video. Maybe give them something.
That's
maybe
right.
an Ethereum, something fun. I don't know. By end of 2024, we'll probably be feeling a lot more generous. So, yes, it's arbitrary, Crypto Thorn. Why would it? I don't understand why you would think it's not. So yeah, if you guys could do that, we appreciate it. So Frank, Ethereum price prediction, December 24. What do you got?
I'm going to pick a different number.
Yeah.
You have to.
Because
interesting.
I would say around 4K, but I will be, I'll go a little bit higher. I'll shoot a little bit higher. I'll say about 5K. The halving has happened. There is some excitement in the market. Obviously, a lot of macro factors at play. So I'll say about, I would say no higher than 5K. But can I request to go first for the next prediction?
You can. Did you have? I haven't asked Ali yet. Did you have any predictions for 24?
Yeah, mine was going to be 5K for Ethereum and 80K for Bitcoin.
Oh, wow.
And these are complete guesses. I'm not qualified to even guess.
No, that's actually a pretty solid guess. We haven't even given our Bitcoin numbers yet. So Ali giving you some sneaky info on Bitcoin. So yeah, so Frank gets to go first on the end of 2025. We should be approximately just after peaking out, maybe, or just peaking out for the absolute top of the cycle. So Frank, I guess this is your chance to let's see how bullish you really are or bearish. What is your price prediction? Ethereum end of the year 2025. Go.
So end of year 2025, I think. I'll say this. I think the new all-time high, I would be looking between, I don't know, this might get some hate, but I would be looking between about $8,000 and $10,000 as an all-time high for Ethereum. I think late 2025, you may be hovering around that 8 to 7K mark.
Ooh, okay.
I'm being a little bit conservative with that on purpose.
Nothing wrong with being conservative.
Look, I shot a little high last cycle. So
yeah, well, and if you say 8 to 10K and it hits 12K, nobody's going to be mad at you. If you say
that's
10K
true.
and it only hits 7K, they will remind you forever. So, but hey, you know what? Go big or go home is how I feel. But all right, Drew, all right, what do you got?
All right,
I'll go last.
End of 2025. I'm feeling 8K. I don't think we'll hit 10K before the end of 2025.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I think, yeah.
So it's basically a 2x from the previous cycle all-time high. I mean, a little bit more.
At that point, I think it'll still have more gas in the tank, but we're talking end of 2025.
So you think it's going to continue to run into 26?
Yeah, I do. I think we're going to have a run into about like mid 2026.
I disagree on that one.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm feeling like March 2026, but I don't know. I'm planning to sell and liquidate everything starting December 2025 in scaling out. But I
think March 2026 is when we're trying to convince ourselves it's going to keep running, and we're on the way back down. We're like, no, guys,
it's going to go back up.
There's a narrative here. It's going to, like they're going to print forever. It's going to keep going. Oh my God, it's going all the way down, which is what we did in 2022 and 2018, and so.
Guys, the AI will bring it back up. It's so advanced now.
I'm going to say over 10K. My number is closer to probably 12K. I think we can very easily, and I feel like that's conservative. I think it could, I think it could go to 15K, anywhere from 12 to 15, but definitely over 10 is my pick. If you say between 10 and 15, I could say, I could land on, 12.5 or something like that. But if I have to put a number on it, Ethereum, and again, that's my peak. That's my all-time high for Ethereum in 25. So if that happens, say November, maybe we're pulling back a little bit. December, I don't know if I'm splitting the difference. I'm gonna stick with 12.5. Just a good 12.5K Ethereum by the end of 2025. I do agree with. I agree that it's time to start laddering out, taking a lot of profits Q4 2025. Maybe I might, depending on how well things are going, maybe even start a little bit early just to be on the safe side. I like TJ's prediction too. Thanks, Covert.
Yeah.
Covert Force.
I mean, he's got a fair prediction. I just figure it's going to take, I'm going to sell in like 25% chunks, you know, so I'm thinking to start like that December timeframe and probably be selling the last chunk by like the first few months of 2026. So, and I'm not mad about it because my Ethereum is originally $200 still.
Right.
So, you know, I'll feel great about it.
Yeah, that is a good way to look at it. Somebody says they're recording this. You'll have to be 3 King Takeo. Let us know how close we were. Remind us, and I'm sure you guys will.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see. Let me read off some of the people in the chat. Bud Lightyear says 30. Oh, no, he's responding to somebody. See,
Moon math is fun.
Crypto Nick Tick says, Cryptotonic 13669. I like it. All time high.
Cryptonautic. I think so.
Cryptonautic.
Yeah.
10 to 12 from Casino Doggy. Crypto Mac Dad says 15K end of 2025. Another 15K all time high. BTC all time high 257,669 from Crypto Nick or whatever, Cryptonautic. Yeah. Guys, I will never remember. It doesn't matter how many times I struggle with your name. I will continue to struggle.
I'm the same. I just say them wrong. I'm just like, that's how I say it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But last time you were here, we learned it was Crypto Killer Whale. I was reading an L as an I, an I as an L like the whole time. Let's see, 26 or 2,625. Let's see, in the attic, we got Crypto Surge saying 10K, 12 by 220. Oh, 10K by December 2024.
Shout out to JJ Holmes. He said, let's LFG. This is becoming one of my favorite shows. I'm a political nerd, and this replaces a political show while at work.
Well, that's good. I hate politics, so welcome to the basement.
I sneak it in there very subtly.
That makes
Drew,
you very
Drew and
happy.
Nick slide their politics in here sometimes. I try to keep us focused on crypto, but hey, you never know if you're going to get crypto. If you're going to be talking about clones or AI or world coins, you know, like it's hard to separate money from politics because the politicians designed it that way. So,
Hey, I have a quick question from Crypto Shark. I was airdropped Hop USDC. How can you tell if it is a scam?
there's not a lot of great ways to tell if it's a scam. If you were you airdropped it on Binance Smart Chain, probably a scam. Depends on what network you get it on. I would just say be very careful with a lot of that stuff. Easiest way to know is, can you swap? Is there any liquidity to swap it and make any money? But don't send it. I would not sign in with other wallets. I would not send it to somewhere you have other funds and try to interact with the contract. Most likely, if they're airdropping it to you, it's because they know you have funds in your wallet. And when you go to try to interact with it, your wallet will get drained. Be extremely careful with airdrops. Most of the time, unless it's one you know about, you hear about, or you're aware of, most generally speaking, not any time. There's been some over the past. They used to be a lot more relevant over the past as kind of a marketing technique for a while, which is why they still kind of work to scam people now. But, is what it is.
Nothing's free, man. I just, they're not going to just sprinkle money on top of your head.
Little free money love dust.
Yeah. It's not how the world works. So be careful.
All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much all we have time for today. We got to get back to it. Really appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us in the basement. You are the best community out there. Radio Face Crypto, Chemistry Bro, Razmataz, Cryptotonic, Manly Crypto, Covert 3/4s. We got the Deadwood, One Day Rewards, Fastu Albadaba, Cindy Van Het Car, Crypt Daddy, Crypto Stevo, Shrimpy Scapegoat, TJ, JJ Holmes, Nick Alamo, Lelo Bros.
Guys, smash the likes if you're on YouTube, please.
Yeah, smash the likes on the way out. Leave us a comment for what you think your price prediction for Bitcoin and Ethereum will be by the end of 2025. Spread the love. Get everybody hyped up. We all need some hopium around here because, hey, it's accumulation market. We got to dream sometimes.
I know the markets are super confused and transitioning into whatever they want to be, but I identify as bullish.
Hey, let's go.
A permabull. You got permabulls here. So, well, except for Frank, he swings all sort of different directions based on where the charts are going.
Today, I'm a perma bear today. And probably tomorrow.
We're out of here, guys. We love you.
Love you guys.
Talk to you next time.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.